Hey everyone. Hi. Hello. It is me, Alison Rosen. Before this episode starts, I just wanted to come on here and say hello. I'm back. I'm back from Japan. Wendy is back. She's doing well. She's getting kind of stir crazy being in her crate most of the time. So we see the vet on Friday. They're going to take her stitches out, the vet in America. And I'm going to talk to her about like 100% of the time in the crate, or, you know, and as the weeks pile up, can we be a little looser? At the same time, I would hate to go all the way to Japan to get heart surgery for her to save her life and then somehow mess it up in the post-op period, which is the most critical period. So forget everything I said. I'm just going to do exactly what they told me and listen to her bark. In other news, I was locked out of the studio. Daniel and I explained this, I think, on the most recent episode. Riveting content. But we couldn't find the key to lock the studio, so I was a little bit worried. And then Daniel came in. He's like, well, it's locked, because he accidentally locked it. And so we were locked out. So we had to get a locksmith to get us back in upon our return. And this is a two-parter. I want to know from you all, people who live in the real world of these United States, or anywhere really, we can do conversion. How much do you think it costs to have a locksmith come out? How much do you think it costs? Just give me a range or give me a number. So to have them come out and then also have them rekey a lock. Because I was snoozing and I got a text from Daniel, locksmith here, and then he told me the number. And I said, and it was I was in quite a pickle and also a jam. And a conundrum. I was in a marital conundrum because I said, wow, that's expensive. It was one of those things where I was like, my God, that's so expensive. Did you pull out the phone book and search under I for insanely expensive locksmith? But also, I feel like it's shitty to criticize if someone's going to do something for you. It's shitty to criticize the way they did it. But at the same time, I was just, I'm worried about money. So I was just like, oh my God. Anyway, let me know. Okay. So, so I'm back in the studio and I was setting everything up and I had a bit of a panic because I use a Zoom H6N. It's an old piece of machinery at this point to record this podcast. And I brought it with me to Japan. I don't travel with it very often. It's not huge. And it's like likely time to upgrade anyway, but I was sitting here and it worked in Japan and then it would not turn on. And I was like, I guess on the one hand, it makes sense that this thing would peter out at a certain point. But on the other hand, why right now when you need to record stuff? And I was really like, thinking, is it the cord? Is it this? Is it this? And I was pulling cords off of other things and trying to find, ones that have the male part that goes, the electronic penis. I was comparing electronic penis sizes, I don't even know. It's like I don't know what the name of this connector is. But the other ones I had this one's more of a chode and the other ones were kind of long and thin. And then get this. Turns out I was feverishly pressing the record button, not turning it on. I thought I was like pressing the record button and waiting for it to light up. So that is a bit of an insight into my state of mind right now. I am disoriented. I'm out of it. Daniel, and it's Stace's birthday, by the way, yesterday was like, I forget what I do in the morning. It's as if we've never been human beings who live in our own house. And also, I feel like my jet lag is getting worse because, and I know that this is probably a rookie mistake. Look, I don't travel internationally very often. But I had a third cup of coffee yesterday afternoon because I was beginning to get so tired. And then I was wide awake until like 2, 3 a.m. And then the dogs got me up, like 5:30. So I'm on fumes. But the kids, who my mother-in-law has nicknamed them the COVID brothers, I feel like you can probably figure out why. They slept till 11:30 a.m., which is way later than they ever sleep. So they're going to have to get back on on their normal schedule because school starts next week. Anyway, perhaps I'm burying the lead. Perhaps no one cares anymore. Yeah. So I know some of this family has COVID right now. I don't think I do yet, although we don't have that many tests left. So I haven't tested myself. I'm sure I'm getting it. I'm sure it's around the corner. My mother-in-law started feeling sick in Japan. She had a sore throat. And Daniel and I were kind of like, it's probably COVID, just because it seems like everyone has COVID right now. She was in denial of the fact that it could be COVID. And then on the plane, Elliot gets very motion sick anyway. So he was throwing up he threw up on the plane on the way there as well. But this was different. This was just a unrelenting torrent of vomit. And then when we got off, it was, by the way, I will never travel. I'm never traveling again. And certainly not with children and a dog. I say that now. I will probably travel again. But anyway, we get to the airport and we're back in America, and Elliot refuses to walk because he just feels too sick. And so he's on the ground scooting on his butt throughout the airport. And I felt so bad for him, but we were all carrying so many bags. Eventually I said to Daniel, and thank God Owen was walking, because Owen often will pull carry me, I can't walk, and we had all been up for a long time. Although Owen, who's usually the one who's a little bit crankier, was in rare perfect form on the airplane. He was chatting it up with his seatmate, who he probably gave COVID to. He was chatting with the flight attendants. Everything was coming up roses for Owen. Poor Elliot, though, not so much. So I said to Daniel, give me your bag. You carry Elliot. Daniel's carry-on, his laptop bag, is 70 pounds. It's probably not really 70 pounds, but I think he has 2 computers and an iPad and some free weights. I'm not really free weights, but oh my God, it was so heavy. I was huffing and puffing and puffing and huffing. It was very uncomfortable. Anyway, we get home in the middle of the night. So this is our first night back. Middle of the night, Owen crawls into our bed. He says his tummy hurts. This is not that unusual for him. And then in the morning, we woke up to him throwing up. It's a little bit fluorescent, which was interesting. I don't know how many highlighters he had eaten. So then he fell asleep on the living room floor for hours. And at that point I said, and Elliot, meanwhile, is watching YouTube on his iPad, on his bed, legs up in the on his stomach with his legs sort of up behind him, talking to the iPad, doing, bits, and he's like a teenager. He's feeling totally fine. I say, can I test you? He says yes. And so his test was immediately positive. So that's what's happening. And then I looked at the CDC because I have 1,000 appointments this week, which I am rescheduling. But I was just curious, what are the guidelines at this point? Because it used to be, at one point I think it was just isolate for 5 days. So I thought, that's totally manageable, and that'll have that means the kids can be in school on Monday. There are no guidelines anymore. Do you guys know this? The CDC is good luck out there. Just treat it like any other illness. Don't be a dumb fuck. wash your hands, try not to give it to anyone, do what you need to do. That's not the actual language. I will tell you the actual language if I can find it fast enough. And if not, you're on your own. Let's see. CDC COVID guidelines. Okay. Okay, this is really not helping me. When you are sick, okay, here we go. So learn when you can go. So preventing spread of respiratory viruses when you're sick. Recommendation. Okay, so you can go back to normal activities when, for at least 24 hours, both are true. Your symptoms are getting better overall, and you have not had a fever and are not using fever-reducing medication. So this is, that's just what Elliot and Owen's preschool rules were. Actually, I think they said 72 hours at a certain point. Okay, and then for the next 5 days, take added precautions. This is a little bit different than what I had seen before, and then I swear I read something that said that they're not even sure whether testing is helpful or not. Don't quote me because I can't find the thing I'm looking for. So I have a intermittent sore throat. I don't know. Anyway, though, all of that is to say the episode you're about to hear, this is a bonus, you guys. It's an episode of Alison and Todd After Hours. It's one that Todd claims is good. So if you like it, Todd knows you well. And if you don't, fuck that guy. But if you like it, there's 38 more episodes, and you can get them at Patreon, if you subscribe, patreon.com/Alison and Todd. Patreon.com/Alison and Todd. Alison with one L, Todd with one D. Blame our parents. So I hope you enjoy this. It's like, let's say you get salad every time you go to a restaurant and you're like, I'm going to try the soup one time. This is your soup. And I hope it's good. I hope it's not, what's a soup that if they had it, I would be like, I don't want that. Honestly, I can't do clam. Well, I think clam chowder would be good. I know. Shrimp bisque. Hopefully, well, maybe you like shrimp bisque. Cream of shrimp? That sounds heinous to me. What's the worst soup? Maybe just plain chicken broth. I hope this isn't your plain chicken broth. I hope this isn't your... I'm really having trouble thinking of bad soups. Does that mean I'm hungry? I don't even like soup that much. I hope this isn't your bad soup. Here's the episode. Reminder, my Substack, AlisonRosen.substack.com.
Substack.
And then my Patreon, patreon.com/AlisonRosen.
Patreon.
And as you know, I solicit product recommendations from guests. Amazon.com/shop/AlisonRosen. Go there, and I think it's the first box is podcast guest suggestions. And peruse. See what all your favorites like. What they recommend. Okay, here we go.
It's Alison and Todd After Hours, the show where Alison Rosen doesn't have to be your best friend or give parenting advice, and Todd Perry drops the good news shtick and acts like an adult, if that's even possible. Now dim the lights, pour yourself a beverage, and join us in the After Hours Lounge.
Welcome back to the After Hours Lounge, where it's never time for any Jeb, no Jeb, got to get, no Jeb. Alison Rosen, Todd Perry.
Hello.
I said Alison Rosen. Hello, Alison Rosen. How are you doing?
Alison Rosen, Todd Perry, the Alison Rosen part is doing well. I do feel a little bit of Jebby energy. Now, as discussed, this is an after hours lounge, so I feel like we could all be like winding down.
No, it's actually doesn't work that way. I had a listener contact me and say, last episode was Jeb. I don't know what I'm living for in life now. So that's all.
Wait, are you serious?
I heard that.
You didn't tell me.
No, I didn't. I was just going to wait till we came back to the next recording, and right before we started, say, look, we were Jeb last time, so we got to take the energy up a level. Like right before, like if I told you last week we were Jeb, it's not going to affect you. But if I tell you right now we were Jeb.
Yeah. You've lit an energy fire under my tuchus. Wait, I have a question. Did they literally use our term for it, or were they just like it was low energy and I wouldn't vote for it?
Low energy? No, Jeb. We were referred to as Jeb, which is like the worst insult a podcaster could ever deal with.
Was it a comment or was this a direct to you?
This was a direct to me. This was a direct message to me.
What else did it say?
I mean, it was part of a greater conversation about life, but that one stuck. That's what I remember. That's the part.
Anything else negative though that I need to work on?
No, that was it. Fine.
All right. Okay. God, I feel sad and tired now. I kind of extra Jebby.
I feel like
Before I felt borderline Jeb, and now my Jebometer is going up. Oh, no.
I think we need to get you on some kind of like supplements or...
Yes, creatine or collagen or some alpha brain.
Suppositories. Whatever they're talking about on... Who's that guy? On Alex Jones, you know, he's always like selling stuff like to make you like more manly, like less Jebby, because he's an anti-Jeb kind of guy.
Totally. I don't think he's had a Jeb moment in his life. I thought you were going to say the Huberman Lab, Andrew Huberman. Do you know who that is?
No.
Oh, he was on the cover of New York Magazine because he's been like cheating on a bunch of women, and they all got together and discovered this. But Huberman Lab, he runs. It's very like he's a science professor or something, and he appeals to all the Rogan people, but also other people. And he really gets into the science of things and tells you how to biohack your this and your that and whatnot. So I thought maybe him.
Oh, I mean, we could maybe employ his research or something. I would be very afraid of you getting involved in like the Rogan
verse.
Yeah, because you'd be in there smoking that weed while bringing that low energy, and it would just
Oh my God, I'd flatline. They'd be like, "Didn't you book a guest?" And then someone would say, "She's right there," and they'd be like, "Where exactly?"
And then about 17 minutes in, you'd respond to the "How are you doing, Alison Rosen?" And you'd be like, "Oh, great," you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. Yeah. So anyway, speaking about personal health and everything, I dealt with something the other day, and immediately I put it in my phone of my like podcast topic idea folder. Mm-hmm. I wanted to run by you and get your take. I was in my local Target, and Sunday morning shopping around. I go to the Target over by Cal State Long Beach because that's where all the young co-eds go. And
right, the hot people Target.
It's the hot people Target versus like Seal Beach Target, which is like kind of older, more established people. This greater chance of seeing a good looking, volleyball player or something over there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not at all creepy.
No, I'm just saying if I'm gonna have to look at people in general, maybe they be young and hot versus old.
That's fair. It's fair.
It's you got to find some joy in life. So I'm over in like the medicine aisle, and I don't know if we have any European listeners.
I hope so.
Maybe I know this of like Patreon. When you get like a subscription, instead of saying like $4, it's like $6.12 because there's some weird...
Right, yeah. Euro or like CAD.
So like I'm walking through the Target, and I'm looking for one of the... European people always complain or they make fun of Americans. They say the first thing you see in an American household is like a massive jar full of pills.
I didn't know that, but it's true.
Yeah, and we put them right out for everybody to see. Like, my massive jar of pills is right by my stove. And,
Yes.
get up in the morning, take 2 Aleve for my fibroids, and mild hangover.
Girlfriend, yes.
Yeah, uh-huh. And so I'm looking for one of these big-ass bottles of Aleve for like $8.99, just to destroy my liver. And I walk down the aisle where they have, like, the condoms. Mm-hmm. It's the same as the Aleve section, so tip to everybody out there shopping. And,
Right.
they have all the different kind of condoms. And then I noticed that also if you go to Target, or at least the one in Long Beach, California, they sell vibrators at Target.
They do?
I'm sorry, not vibrators, a vibrator.
They sell vibrator at Target. Again, they do. Is it behind the glass case? What is it? I need to know everything.
No, it was like within arm's reach. Like, it was kind of up there. Like, so if you were short and needed a vibrator, it would be kind of a bad scene. You could ask somebody, excuse me, could you grab
Right.
that vibrator up there? But I looked at it and I was like, wow, that's kind of bold if, because I feel like, okay, if you buy a vibrator at Target, it's an impulse buy, not I gotta run and get a vibrator moment.
So you're saying if you get a vibrator at Target, it is an impulse buy. Because you're like, I'm going to buy a Aleve. Hey, I'm going to buy a condom. Hey, I'm going to buy this vibrator. Versus like you're about to get busy with someone and they're like, quick, go buy a vibrator. You don't think it's that?
Well, I think you got that a little wrong, because wouldn't it be, I'm about to get busy alone, and then I'm like...
Oh, yeah. I guess so. Right.
Because, like, first of all, like, I would assume that if one, especially a female, was going to get or male too, if a female was going to go get a vibrator, like, if you go to a sex store, they have multiple vibrators of different varying speeds, sizes...
Right. Shapes, materials.
Veininess.
Right. Different vascularity for your vibrator.
You should have that, like, on it, like, maximum vascularity. Like, maybe some people
So
are
gross.
attracted to fake vascularity.
They probably are. It's more lifelike.
But, like, okay, so if you're like, oh, man, I need to get a vibrator right now, like, you're going to go to the sex store, unless there's just none in your orbit. But I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, by that Target, there's at least, 6 places where you could, get to a sex shop pretty quickly,
Right. Huh. I need to know more. Because I'm picturing this is like a budget vibrator. This is not a high-end vibrator. What is it? Is it like made by the same people that make condoms?
Yeah, it was like if Durex had a generic... general market vibrator, and
That's what I'm envisioning. Yeah.
it had 2 inputs.
What does that mean?
Like, there was one for the vagina and one for the bum, I think. It was...
Okay. Like you'd use it at the same time, or you can do either with it?
I think, or maybe the other part was for the clitoris. I'm not sure, because I didn't get up that... I wasn't like taking it off the shelf,
Right.
looking at it, and reading the safety stuff, reading how many what's the amperage on this son of a bitch. But yeah, I'm like, so if you're at Target, you're like, oh, they got vibrators. I'm gonna get one, and then you're pretty awesome, because you can walk through the store with that thing in your cart.
That's right.
I'm assuming you can't take that through the self-checkout. I think you got to have somebody checking you out if you're getting a sex toy.
Why? Does it not have a barcode?
No, I'm just assuming that would be an item that would be stolen often. Like, because someone's like kind of sketchy about buying it, or embarrassed or insecure.
That's why I was thinking that it's probably behind the glass case, but you say no. It's just right there for the taking.
Yeah, it was right there. For if people want to loot the place, they can go in there and grab as many as they like. But then in terms of like the price, you're talking about the bargain base thing, and like I don't really know the real price of a vibrator because usually sex shops are way overpriced on everything. Mm-hmm. Right? So I wouldn't know whether it was like, okay, this is Target pricing, and then at the Purple Onion by my house, it would be $8 extra or something, you know?
Right. Is it actually called the Purple Onion?
Yeah, the store is called the Purple Onion, and it's right by an aquarium and a taco place.
What is a purple onion? Is it a vagina or is it a butthole?
I think it's neither. I think it's some kind of ancient, like old reference to like the Kama Sutra, the Karma. It's not the Karma Sutra, it's the Kama Sutra.
No, it's the Kama Sutra, I think.
Yeah.
Kama.
Kama Sutra.
Is that Damashek talking about the Kama Sutra?
Purple Onion, Kama Sutra.
It's fascinating that you think it's not the vagina or the butt, or I guess we're calling it the vulva now. Are you aware of this? Its culture has shifted. Now it's the vulva. Women have vulvas, men have penises.
Really? Mm-hmm. Why don't we call it vagina?
Well, the vagina is what is the hole. That's what's inside. But like the whole situation is the vulva.
So it's like the vulva is the overlapping thing, and then it's like, you know, the theater versus the screen, right?
Yes. It's like the vulva is the purple onion. The vagina is the hole.
Okay. I mean, I can get with that. I'm fine. It's just it's coming a little late in life for me to really adapt.
It's hard for me too. And in fact, I kind of want for principle, I kind of want to not. But then I think I don't want to be teaching my kids the wrong terms.
Oh, that's true. That could really mess them up, you know?
Yeah. It feels weird to suddenly use a new word for something that is such a part of my body.
Like if I'm saying like I'm going to go out and get me some vulva,
it just sounds wrong.
It seems like I'm stopping short of the entire act. Or maybe I'm just being a giving lover. I'm just being a giving lover that night.
Yes.
It's not, you know what I'm saying, you know?
Yeah, you're just going to like massage the outside. Mm-hmm. If you're getting some I would get the whole, there needs to be a word to encompass both.
Yeah.
I'm going to get me some genitals.
Genitals, so some multiple stuff. I was just thinking there were a lot of words. I was just watching the new Cat Williams stand-up special last night, and he really went into it for like 35 minutes.
Is it good? Do you recommend it?
I thought it was very funny, but I mean, if you could deal with Cat Williams talking about vagina, vulva, clitoris, the whole thing, the entire kit and caboodle for 35 minutes, then you'll like it. But some people that are more sensitive to that maybe may not enjoy it. But I think he could make anything interesting, I think.
All right. I'll give it a go. Speaking of shows, and then we can move on to what you want to talk about. Have you heard of this show, Baby Reindeer, on Netflix?
I just started getting like stuff trickling into my social media about it.
Okay. Yes, same. Sort of out of the blue, just started seeing people talk about watching it, and so Daniel and I started last night. But I said to him, I'm hesitant because I think it might be disturbing. And we watched the first episode, definitely hooked. It doesn't feel, I mean, you can see how it's going to be weird, but I don't really know what it is that everyone is being so foreboding about. But I just recorded my group show, and Eliza Skinner, who's one of the comedians who was on, she was saying that it's very much like, oh my God, like what the fuck did I just watch? Like it's very dark. It's very weird. I don't know. And she said that like, she's like, I enjoyed it. I don't even know that it's appropriate to use the word enjoy. So I don't even know what's in store for me, but I'm like worried now, even though I want to watch it.
And what's that on?
Netflix.
Oh, that sounds good then. I love the sense of foreboding. It's just like when the second season of White Lotus, and it's like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. You know, like I like the idea of people in TV shows putting these, this is a weird term to use, but money shots, like in Every show now seems to have like the disturbing or didn't see that coming. Holy crap!
Yeah.
I need to go to therapy now moment.
Yes, except I saw White Lotus. I love White Lotus, and I'm forgetting what it was. What are you referring to? Or is it a spoiler to say?
I think it's a spoiler alert because it's like a big twist.
Okay. Oh. Okay, don't tell me then. I mean, even though I know.
Big, sexy twist. But, I don't know. I was just, wondering about, the Target vibrator. Audience, if you guys are for the Target vibrator. Anybody try out the Target vibrator, please let us know on Patreon. Let's hear your reviews.
So how much was it? Do you remember? Let me take a guess. I'm going to guess it's like... I'm going to guess it's like $49 or something, which I would say is pretty cheap.
I can look it up right now.
Okay, great.
I'm going to incognito mode. Just because, I don't want my wife seeing when she logs onto our Google account, Target vibrator, and Mother's Day is coming up. Thanks, you got me a Target vibrator for Mother's Day.
Only the best.
Here we go. Okay. Let's see. Vibrators, sexual health. They have multiple online, but I guess at my Target they only had the one.
This is shocking. I never knew they dabbled in sex toys or health and wellness, whatever they call it. What? Am I wrong?
They even have fake vulvas for men.
Like a fleshlight?
No, they call it the stroker.
Are you serious? How did Target get into doing carrying this stuff?
It looks like a little, like a cute little snowman that doesn't have a head. It's just like the body and.
Oh my God! I gotta look this up. The stroker, you say?
Yeah.
Target the stroker. Target the stroker.
Wow, they have waterproof. Yeah, they have multiple.
Oh my!
I don't even know what this thing is. It looks kind of like a shofar, that you blow.
Oh my God! There's something called the little sucker.
Ew, wow. That's kind of gross because that's kind of pedophilia, right? Like the little sucker.
Oh yeah, I guess it kind of is. I mean, I hadn't thought of it that way, and I think it looks like a small little suctiony thing. But wow, who knew? This is like an ad for Target, and we don't intend for it to be.
What does the little sucker even do? Because if I look at it, it looks like that thing that Neil deGrasse Tyson flies around in the Cosmos TV show. And
I haven't seen that, but it also looks like almost like a little ear aspirator. I think it's a it's a clitoral stimulator.
Oh.
So it looks like you put some lube in that little hole and then it just suckles your clit.
Okay.
Is my sense of it.
The thing that looked like the shofar and also looks kind of like a handle on a coffee cup is the Bloomy Indulge waterproof rechargeable double-sided vibrator.
Bloomy? Blooy? M-Y?
Bloomi.
M-I. Oh, yeah. It looks like something. It looks like an old school phone. It's got so many sides to it. It's got 3 heads on it. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Oh no, it's not. Sorry. Oh. It's just the receiver part of a phone. It's photographed against the box, so I saw another. I thought there were 3 pieces of it. It's just this 2 thing. Okay.
They also have the Hello Cake pocket wand, which it looks a lot kind of like a cake pop.
So which is the one they had at the store?
The one they had in the store, I found it here, and it's $32.49. So, reasonable, and I'm sure you could do some kind of Klarna deal. Or maybe you could pay $8 for 4 months on it.
Right.
And it's the +1 waterproof and rechargeable dual rabbit vibrator. And it's very sleek. It looks like kind of like what are those trees? What are the out in Yucca Valley? It has like a Dr. Seuss kind of waving quality to it. And it has a pinhole charger in there to get it working. So I guess, okay, so it's $32.49 for the Target
That
vibrator.
seems cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't like die on you, as long as you can, that sucker works for 3-4 years, and I think it's worth the money,
Right. And maybe it has some kind of guarantee. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, who knew? I certainly didn't. If you had said to me, do you think you can pick up a sex toy at Target? I would have said, probably not.
Yeah. Now, okay.
I would have been wrong.
One last point I'm thinking about this. The first thing is the person in the checkout aisle that's checking you out as you buy the +1 and put on your Target Red card. What if you return it and you go to return it and you're at that return desk, that really messy return desk where you've got, kids' toys, everything, and you're like, this one, it just, I don't know, it didn't fit, or it didn't.
Right. It didn't get me off.
Yeah, this didn't work at all. This is this is like my ex-husband, So
my hunch is there's a no return policy.
You think so?
If it's opened, I have a feeling. Same as like you probably couldn't return a box of condoms.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, definitely. I had that problem with printer ink. Like my printer ink didn't work, and I tried to turn it back, and they're like, "No, we don't do that."
That seems unfair.
I know, but yeah, it's company policy. What can you do?
Bullshit. That is bullshit.
Did you hear about? They had it was like a Grateful Dead thing out in like Ventura. It wasn't anything. It was like a bunch of Grateful Dead tribute bands. And it was a 3-day fest out in Ventura, which is actually quite pretty if you go out there. And people paid like $100 a day to go to it, and then they canceled it, and they said, we've really tried to refund people, but no refunds. Sorry.
What?
Yeah.
How can they do that? When was this?
This was just a couple weeks ago, and there was a no refunds policy if you looked at the fine print. So they didn't do the thing. People spent, you probably paid $100 and then a day, plus, different fees for a 3-day thing. You spent $400, and they just pulled the, sorry, no refunds, and they wrote a really nice email to people. It's like, we really tried to figure out how to get you back your money, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
That seems not okay. I thought no refunds means you can't request a refund, not we can cancel the event and we don't have to refund you.
No, that's exactly what it meant.
So are people upset?
I'd assume so, yeah. I saw a bunch of people bitching about it online, but I just thought, like, we've hit that level with the ripoff that is the concert world of these days, that it's just like, we're not going to even do it. We're going to screw you with a ticketing fee.
Yeah. Wow. Now, Coachella and Stagecoach just happened. Are you wishing you had gone?
Not really. After I had gone to go see Blur in Pomona, because they were like the third headliner on like the first night of like both weekends, right? And one of my favorite bands. And I saw them in Pomona. It was really small venues. They warmed up. And then when they played at Coachella, like the lead singer, Damon Albarn, literally threw the bird UK style with like the peace sign backwards at the audience.
Oh, I didn't know that was the bird.
Yeah, would they do like peace but backwards?
Oh, I didn't know that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you look at it, it makes a vulva.
Yeah. And if there's a vagina inside it.
No, not at all. It's just a vulva now.
Okay.
Just a vulva. And I guess like a bunch of 23-year-olds looking at their cell phones didn't really know the song Girls and Boys. And Damon was like, we're not fucking coming back. And, yelled at them.
Wow.
So I was like, I guess the crowd was really shitty there. But that was just for that band. But
right.
I don't know. I'd been there before when I was younger and had a good time. But now I'm like, I'm pretty good at not being somewhere for 3 days out,
Yes. Yeah. Have you ever been tempted to go to Burning Man?
I have, but it's just it runs parallel with my desire to get high.
You mean you want to go to Burning Man and then you get high and then you don't have the motivation to go to Burning Man?
No, it's like I want to get high, and I'm like, where could I get high? And then I'm like, oh, Burning Man, that could work. But I have friends that do that, and that always seemed cool to me. Like, I'd love to go hang out with some wooks and some hippies out there for a couple days and barter things and live like a stinky anarchist. Like, I could get with that. But like, you just have to have enough like drugs to get you through the days. Because I feel like that one sober day where you're sitting out there like, what the fuck am I doing?
That's how I would feel. Yeah, I've always thought I have no desire to go to Burning Man. And then I've interviewed a couple people who are all about it. And they make it sound like idyllic and, I don't know, sort of interesting. Which is hard for me to admit.
Yeah, it just seems to me like you're going to like a really long rave and meeting cool people and bouncing around, and it seemed like that would be cool. But again, it would be like on the fourth day of eating mushrooms, and but maybe meet some cool friends. I don't know. Again, my buddy Al Chang goes out there, so maybe I go out with Al Chang at some point.
We went to the Renaissance Fair this weekend. Have you done that?
Ooh, Renaissance Fair is like the most expensive place on earth, is what I recall.
The people there are selling overpriced tchotchkes that you can get on Amazon for like an eighth of the price. The things that they sell are so expensive. And yes, it is. The food is expensive. It's an expensive day, but it's not upscale in any way.
Okay.
It's very much just like a carnival. A carnival that involves pageantry, but yeah, it's expensive.
Was this the one off by the 15, like off of like Devore exit or whatever, like where they had the Festival?
Oh my God, Us 3?
Yeah,
is that what it's called? It's at the Santa Fe Dam. I think Irwindale. Is that what you're thinking of?
Okay, no, that one's closer. That one is the one way out there. And did you see a lot of boob? Because I remember like a lot of push-up boob going on.
Like in a way where I'm not attracted to boobs, but the way that they were like cinched up and pushed out to such an extreme degree made me less attracted to them than I would be if they were just sitting in a normal corset. Like this was, it was extreme boob pushage. It looked uncomfortable.
Yeah, I feel like those corsets and they're a harsh leather, and it's going right up and it goes almost to areola, right? And they're trying to get it as high up as possible. And all boobs are beautiful, but some are more beautiful than others.
And didn't George Orwell say that?
Yes, exactly. And Morrissey as well. But it usually tends to be a heavier set boob going up that is, not really a well-formed boob, Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think if I saw any boobs that were attached to someone who was like, that's a hot person.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a lot. It was overwhelming. We went last year and we got there pretty late. So we were only there for a few hours and it was much more manageable. This time we had a long day there and I was over it for the last few hours, but the kids were into it. So I had to stay and everything was very dusty. It's like the kind of thing where you're like blowing your nose afterwards and dust is coming out,
Did you play Splatter Platter? Where you throw dishes?
What's that?
You pay to throw dishes?
No, I didn't even see that as an option.
It's like, splatter platter! And then you throw dishes? No?
That sounds really fun. No, we didn't do that.
Did you eat a large turkey leg?
No. You're second person to ask me that. I've never eaten a large turkey leg. And I've been to the Renaissance Fair when I was younger. I went, and then I've been a couple times as an adult, thrice as an adult. Never once had a turkey leg, but the food was really good. The food, I think, was like one of the stronger parts, which I wouldn't have expected. I got an artichoke because I remember seeing an artichoke last year and thinking it looked really good.
Ooh.
The sauce was really good. The spices were really good. It was really good, but an artichoke is not something that's like ideal to eat outdoors at a Renaissance fair. It's greasy and it's messy. And there's all like the negotiating the inside of the artichoke. But, the flavor was really good. Daniel got a tri-tip sandwich. I had a bite of that. That was really good. The kids got fish and chips. That was really good. So good job on the food, Renaissance fair.
So my wife and I, we have kind of a challenge that we do when I make an artichoke. Like, I make it the most, like, dumb way possible, where I just, like, boil a bunch of water. I throw the choke in there for, like, an hour until it starts falling apart, and then...
I don't think that's a dumb way.
No?
Isn't that kind of the traditional way?
I think so, but a lot of people, they do it the bougie way now, where they, like, bake it, and they have a whole bunch of different, kind of spices on top of it, and they cut it interestingly so you don't have the tips, and, it's a whole thing.
I didn't even know.
But yeah, no, I just do it, and then I dip it in mayo, and my wife's fancy, so she dips it in butter. But then at the end, when you get to the heart of the artichoke, this is like the best. This is the coup de grace. This is the flaming baked Alaska on the evening. And then it's
the Tootsie Roll in the Tootsie Pop.
Yeah. And we'd put that out there, and it's all steamy. And then sometimes we'd have like a competition. Like, okay, like we could flip a coin, and you could gamble, and you could get the whole heart. Or you could get no heart and lose.
Oh, my God. You guys, the stakes are so high.
Yeah, because we'd lust after the heart so badly. And
you don't just share?
Yeah, no, we usually share, but it's like, you want a double or nothing on the heart?
Right. And sometimes you do. And will you do that?
Yeah, we've done that before. My old roommate, Oscar, and I, we would definitely go hard on that, because he'd be like, oh, dude, you're making choke. Like, dude, bro, we're making choke. And it really is great. Like, I've kind of thought about going vegetarian before. And I was like, okay, if I could eat artichoke with every meal, then that's something that is fulfilling to me as, like, meat, like satiating, is artichoke in mayo.
It almost has an umami thing happening, even though for the longest time I was like, I don't believe umami exists. But there is something, like, meaty about it.
Could you define umami? Because when I think of umami, it's like... They say, like, can you define irony, right? Are you that great with words that you can do that? How do you define umami? Because I kind of think I know what it is, but maybe I don't know what it is.
So Phil Rosenthal defined it for me, because I was doing my, like, I don't think this exists. He said it's savory but not salty.
Oh. See, I always thought it was savory and salty. So...
It doesn't necessarily need the salty flavor.
So it would be, I don't even know. Like, what would you call that then? Like the avocado? What else?
So like tomatoes, mushrooms, meat. Have you ever used MSG or Accent, that spice? For a while everyone thought, like, outlawed, but now it's back because it wasn't actually ever bad for you.
My friend Daria worked at Chong's in Redondo Beach, a Chinese food place, and she actually used to steal the MSG from there. She's like, Todd, I'm telling you, it is so fucking good. I put it on everything. But
you can buy it in the store. It's just a little shaker, and it's called Accent. So, and when we were young, the commercial was like a black and white commercial, and they shake the Accent, and the food turns into color. But anyway, if you ever taste that, I think it's called monosodium glutamate. That is the flavor of umami. So I remember, like, tasting just a couple crystals of it and thinking it was going to be overpoweringly salty, but it's not. It has, like, it almost tastes like broth. It's like whatever the flavor of broth is. That's what it is. It's very flavorful. It's surprisingly flavorful. It really turned the color on in my mouth.
It turned the color on in my mouth.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite reviews from the Target vibrator. Is
the little sucker really turned the color on in my mouth.
Okay, so the MSG. So MSG's back. We're back into it. We're just not calling it MSG anymore, or
I don't know. No, Accent has been around since, like, the 80s or possibly the 70s. I don't know. I don't think anyone's loud about being back on it, but I think that the claims that it caused health problems have been debunked.
Okay.
So I think if people want to get back on it, they can.
It was like Big Salt came for MSG. And,
I think so.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing is no one is gluten-free anymore. And I feel like gluten-free was a huge problem for 90% of the women I knew in the LA area for about 4.5 years. And now...
This is true.
No one
Is
cares.
everyone back?
Everyone went back, and everybody just went back with impunity. It was like after COVID, when people said stupid things or whatever in the media or did terrible things, we all just kind of forgave everybody for being stupid, right? And everyone went back to their thing. Maybe some people returned to work after being Nazis, right? They went out, they did their Nazi thing, like, oh, war's over.
Yeah.
No, we did some weird shit, but let's not talk about it.
Right.
That is my feeling about gluten-free, is everybody screamed about it for a long time, and then people claimed to be gluten-free, and then they stopped being gluten-free, and no one held their feet to the fire.
I mean, I think you might be onto something with your pointing out the relationship to COVID, because remember at the beginning of lockdown, everyone was making bread. You couldn't even get yeast. We have like a giant, in case there's another pandemic, erase this episode, but we have a giant sack of yeast because it was so hard. I got caught up in the bread frenzy. We made some bread. It was so hard to find yeast that I got like the value pack of yeast. In the same way that like your children will inherit your children's children will inherit your tortoise.
Yeah.
There's yeast in the Rosenquantz family for eons now. We have so much yeast, but I think everyone was so interested in making bread, they gave up their gluten-free lifestyle.
Did Daniel actually make bread?
No, but he ate some of the bread that I made.
So you made bread.
I made bread, and I let Elliot help me. Cooking with a child is very, very frustrating. Even when, and this was my thing, was like, this is going to be an activity we're going to do together, and it's going to be for him. And then quickly I was like, I can't wait for him to take a nap so I can fix this. This kid doesn't know how to cook at all.
So what I'm hearing is the whole world took for granted the fact that they had access to yeast for a long time, and like, I don't know, we're sick. It actually makes us sick. It's terrible. And then when there wasn't any, everybody ran towards it and was like, oh my God, where are you, yeast? I'm so sorry. It's like when they had that commercial where they're like, release that egg. And they got the egg out of the prison because they were saying the eggs are now good for you. I
haven't seen this commercial.
We released the yeast, which is also my favorite Target sex product on there. All right, I'm going to finish with one thing that I want to ask you as a master parent who does another show that is actually about parenting. And I had a problem. I had a problem recently where my son, he was getting into kind of casually using the word ass. And not kind of knowing how to use it like a fucking novice. But, and then we started saying, hey, look, you gotta watch it. Those are bad words. Those are inappropriate. No one wants to hear a 7-year-old say that. But try not to make a big deal about it, like doing the dance. And then he's doing homework, and he was about to say something, and he stopped, and he goes, now he's 7, and he goes, I was about to say shit or crap, but I didn't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I
think that's great.
I was like, dude, you just outed yourself. You just said shit and crap, right?
He found a way to do it.
Yeah. He ruined himself. And then my wife, for some reason, got mad at him or whatever, and he was in his bedroom, and he goes, Jesus. And so, okay, with all this, I think we've had discussions before, and if there's a kid in the car, please fast forward to the end of the show. Alison and I were talking before about the Santa thing, and I think we both agreed that it makes us very uncomfortable to lie to kids about that whole scenario, and that we don't really want to push it. Like, my wife pushes it really hard, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, Santa, be good, you'll get shit,
Right.
So I feel the same way about getting mad about bad words, because kind of in my heart as a communicator,
Yeah, a lover of words.
Lover of words as a podcaster, the idea that, words are bad or whatever seems so puritanical,
Totally.
It's like being anti-sex or buying a vibrator at Target or anything. It's just like, learn to accept language and don't be prudish. And if you're not offended by words, then you're going to go a lot further in life, right?
Right.
So I had to fake parent, and be like, oh, it's so bad. I don't want to hear you saying bad words because it's unbecoming on a 7-year-old to be that way. And I told him, find more creative ways to say what you're saying. Instead of saying, the S word, say, oh, schnitzel or whatever. Like, find something really cool to replace it with that's creative and get your point across in a new and an inventive way.
I think that's a good challenge. What I was going to ask is, can he understand the idea that there are certain words that people take offense to, and so you don't want to say them in public or at school, but like it's okay at I wouldn't go so far as to say it's okay at home, but like you don't want to encourage it. But would he get that? Because like I think Elliot does, but I don't know how much Owen would.
Yeah, I don't think Declan is there at getting, just because he was so lazy in his use of the word ass and just couldn't use it appropriately. It was like, come on, fucking hey, dude. And it was also part of me is like, dude, you don't say it around your fucking parents. That. Like, don't get caught. Like, don't out yourself. So that was kind of disappointing. Like,
well, I think he doesn't quite get it. He doesn't quite get the rules around it.
I should just do like, when my dad wanted to teach me about sex, he took me to Target. Anyway, he made me watch the Elvis 68 comeback special and said that's what a man is and that's what women like. I should do like the George Carlin, like 7 dirty words you can't say.
Yes.
And have him sit through that, and then he can learn about the art of cursing maybe.
Right. When we were out in Irwindale, made a U-turn and passed a Jack in the Box, and Elliot looked out the window and said, Jack in the Crack. And then Daniel and I both, and then we laughed, and he goes, that's what grown-ups call it, right? And I said, where did you hear that? And he said, YouTube. So there you go. Jack in the Crack.
That reminds me. The funniest thing in the world is an Instagram page called Foos Gone Wild. And it's like Hispanic kind of memes and about like Hispanic culture. And there's always this woman on there. It's like, Jack in the Crack? Oh, hell no. And whenever I drive by a Jack in the Box, I say, Jack in the Crack? Oh, hell no.
Foos Gone Wild. I'm going to check it out.
Oh, yeah. Now, Allison, I will end with this. When eventually you have to have these conversations about quote-unquote bad words with your kids, are you going to have that same Santa Claus feeling about it, or are you going to be totally fine with saying, that's a naughty word, and get prudish on him?
No, I'm going to feel, I'm going to feel like I'm being dishonest, because in my heart of hearts, I don't really believe that there's such thing as a bad word. I mean, there's hurtful words. That's different. But I don't believe that words that, potty words or sex words, I don't believe those are bad. But I do think it's important that they understand that most people do. Yeah. So it's a fine line.
All right. I'd like to thank everybody for subscribing to the show on Patreon. Thank you, Alison Rosen, for being here with me. And I think we had a good 20 minutes of no Jeb, and then I think you slid deeply down the dark chasm of Jebbery.
I did.
Possibly.
I mean, I'm sure I did. Well, you need to like prod me, because I'm not aware of my own jebitude.
You get like a cattle prod and like poke.
Yeah. I mean, I am sitting lower in my seat.
Yeah.
Maybe I assumed a Jeb position. Well, I'm sure our listener will let us know if we jebbed out.
That's right. Yeah. Text me.
I'm sorry.
You know who you are. I'd like to thank you guys once again and talk to you soon. Alison Rosen. Next show will be out on probably the 15th of May.
That's right.
Stick around till then.
That's been Allison and Todd After Hours. Thanks for supporting the show on Patreon. Questions, comments, or irrational rage? Send us a message on the Patreon app. I'm Marley Balin Frederick. Catch you next show, and until then, the lounge is closed.